Hey Woodhaven family, and welcome back to the Journey 24/7 podcast. Today we're going to be diving into Matthew chapter 17. We're going to be spending the bulk of our time today just in this first half of this chapter, where we see the Transfiguration. This is one of those events that is really just incredible to think about. Think about what it would have been like to witness this, to think about what it would have been like to just be able to be there and see this. And then it also just makes me reflect and get excited because it's like, one day we are going to get to see Jesus face to face. One day we're going to get to see him in his entire glory face to face. But in this, we dive in and it says, after 6 days, Jesus took with him Peter and James and John, his brother. So this was Jesus' kind of inner circle within the disciples, are Peter, James, and John. And he led them up to the high mountain by themselves. And it says, and he was transfigured before them, and his face shone like the sun, and his clothes became white as light. Just think about that. Seeing Jesus in the flesh in front of you, being transfigured, his face shining like the sun, his clothes becoming white as light. And then beside him all of a sudden appear Moses and Elijah talking with him. Now you may wonder why Elijah and Moses are here. It seems kind of like an odd appearance by them, just out of nowhere. But no, this is to show they're representing the Old Testament law and the prophets. Moses, the law, Elijah, the prophets. And you see, they were showing that Jesus was the one that was coming to fulfill the law, to fulfill all of these prophecies. And so they appear, and it says, Peter said to Jesus, Lord, it is good that we are here. If you wish, I will make 3 tents here, one for you and one for Moses and one for Elijah. He was still speaking when, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them, and a voice from the cloud said, This is my beloved Son, with whom I am well pleased. Listen to him. If you're paying attention, that should bring something to mind, that this is my beloved Son, with whom I am well pleased. Those are the exact words that the Father said to Jesus when he was baptized. Well, we see them here again. Yet he also says, Listen to him. It says, when the disciples heard this, they fell on their faces and were terrified. They had this fear of the Lord because they recognized how powerful he was. They recognized his might, his strength. But Jesus came and he touched them, saying, Rise and have no fear. And when they lifted up their eyes, they saw no one but Jesus only. So now it was just Jesus there in the flesh. And as they start coming down the mountain, Jesus commanded them to tell no one this vision until the Son of Man, referring to himself, is raised from the dead. So again, he's telling them even there, this is what's going to happen to me. I'm going to die and I'm going to be raised from the dead, but don't tell anyone about this until after that. Well, the disciples asked him, then why did the scribes say that the first Elijah must come? Well, what that's referring to is back in Malachi chapter 4. We see in verses 5 and 6, it says, Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the great and awesome day of the Lord comes. And he will turn the hearts of fathers to their children, and the hearts of children to their fathers, lest I come and strike the land with a degree of utter destruction. And so they're saying, well, Elijah must come. He must be here. He must be on this earth. But Jesus answered him. He said, Elijah does come, and he will restore all things. But I tell you that Elijah has already come, and they did not recognize him, but did to him whatever they pleased. So also the Son of Man will certainly suffer at their hands. Well, who he's referring to here is John the Baptist. John the Baptist fulfilled that role of Elijah coming. John the Baptist prepared the way for the Lord to come. We saw him baptize Jesus himself. But then we also saw that John the Baptist was killed. And so Jesus is saying that they did to him what they pleased. They didn't listen to him. They didn't recognize him. So also the Son of Man will certainly suffer at their hands. He's saying we've seen what they did to John the Baptist. I'm going to suffer at their hands is what Jesus is saying. Then it says that the disciples understood that he was speaking to them of John the Baptist. So it connected these dots in their minds where they understood who Jesus was referring to here. Now as we continue on down in this passage, we see that Jesus performs another miracle where he rebukes a demon out of a child, out of a boy. And he did this after the disciples had already tried to heal him, and the disciples could not. Well, they come to Jesus and they asked, why could we not cast it out? And he said to them, "Because of your little faith, for truly I say to you, if you have faith like a grain of mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, 'Move from here to there,' and it will move, and nothing will be impossible for you." Now, what this is saying here is not that all of us can just go tell a mountain to move and it's going to move. Jesus is using this as a metaphor to show how powerful our faith is. And that if we have a true, powerful faith, that anything the Lord wants to do, he can do through us. This idea of moving a mountain was just a common metaphor in Jewish literature at the time. And it's one we still use today where we talk about something can move mountains. But no, what it's saying is that Jesus can work in all things. That if we have faith in him, he can move in any ways that he pleases. He can do all things. And the beautiful thing about this is that if we have a true saving faith in him, our goal should always be for him to be glorified. And that should always be our prayer. We can pray for specific things we want to happen, and we can have faith that he's going to move. But we can also recognize that our most important prayer is that Christ will be glorified. And if the way that happens is something that we don't like on this earth, that's hard on this earth, that's okay. Because ultimately we want him to be glorified. So we keep that faith and we're going to see mountains move. Our own salvation is an example of mountains moving. That is the greatest miracle there is. Somebody that is eternally dead that is now eternally alive in Christ. They're eternally dead in their sin to now being redeemed and reconciled with the Lord. There's no greater miracle than that. So we've seen the Lord move mountains. We just continue to have our faith, to put our faith in him and trust in him and sell out to him unlike anything else. That's what we're called to do. Have a true, radical, saving, game-changing faith. Let's all have that faith. Let's show that faith. Let's demonstrate that faith. And let's eagerly await all the mountains that we're going to see the Lord move. Because he's going to keep moving them. He always has and he always will. Because he is a God of miracles. A God of love. A God of grace. A God of mercy. And a God that has called us out of darkness and into his wonderful light. It's going to wrap up our study today. Come back here with us tomorrow as we dive into Matthew chapter 8.